Hello, hello, hello. Mike Arnold here, co-founder of Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacino. Wow, what a difference a day makes. By the way, for anybody new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, and hitting the like or dislike button. But most important, ringing that bell after you've subscribed so you know when we're going live. And you also know when things like Bob Iacino on the last live stream joins us as a guest. Sort of weird, my business partner being a guest on the live stream. But we covered a lot of stuff. By the way, if you want to hear more insights, we talked about dollar index. We talked about similarities to 2000. We talked about, boy, we talked about a lot of stuff, didn't we? I know a few of you were on there. Shashi was on that. Great insight. Mike and Bob, we appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, if you want to know more and you just want some really good market thoughts between some technicals and stuff I throw in our back and forth and Bob's sort of more macro fundamentals and things he says, go back and watch the replay. It'll be worth your time. We really don't put a lot of fluff or filler in there. We try not to waste people's time, and I think you will get some good information from it. Dave says, great talk. So we're just trying to help people learn. We really are. We're trying to get through all the junk out there. All the junk. There's too much junk and there's too much of this people talking about fluff and pumping stuff and stuff that really doesn't matter. And is it a risk on, a risk off day? And all that BS, which is not going to help you be a better investor or trader. And it's always good, besides my technicals, which we do every day, and it's always good to get some other opinions and get some other macro viewpoints, which is, as much as Bob can come in, we'll bring him on. By the way, we have, hey, Coco, Tesla, huge head and shoulders. No. I'll tell you why for a couple reasons. We'll get to that. Hey, Sonic Q1, Wavy, always Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. Let's see. Big red day not looking too pretty. There's that great reversal pattern, though, I put in disco. Oh, that was a thing of beauty. Hey, Dave. Hello, hello, hello. Look out below if we breach 1,000. Mike cuts the cheese and leaves BS in the Mike cuts to. I thought you had said Mike's cuts the cheese and leaves BS in the field. Maybe I cut the cheese and leave BS in the field. Why is this not and I know so many people, you're going to see, especially people who do the Tesla analysis, going to say this is a head and shoulders, blah, 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 blah. Well, they haven't tested it out. Oops. Oh, I just wish you could draw without everything popping back on. I wish there's a way you could just temporarily draw. Why is, all right, so shoulder, head, shoulder. Why is this not a head and shoulders? First of all, it's a reversal pattern. This is the move it's reversing, so yeah, you don't have much of a reversal. Second off, and you'll be able to impress your friends and neighbors at cocktail parties. You draw a neckline. Look at this, and it's triggered by a break of the neckline. It's why we do not trade downward sloping necklines. Tell me where you're going to break that neckline. You see this? Now, and you measure the targets from where you break the neckline. Now, how is this helpful? Because, all right, fine, it's a reversal pattern, but where are your targets? How is this helpful? I mean, I've already think we've reversed. We've already come up between the 50 and the 62.5, and we went lower. I said, remember stops, which you could have waited for today's close, but there was a lot of warning signs before that. And I said, stops, there's a move up your stop thing yesterday, which is why you should always trade with stops. And also I talk about you take some partial profits into strength. You don't wait to weakness. And there's actually a great little signal today where you could have even taken partial profits. And that's the market we're in. Unfortunately, these moves on the macro are coming so quick with either Fed speak or with reports coming out every day. We're in earnings seasons now. You're going to see more of these whipsaw moves. And that's where if you can watch intraday, it really helps to manage positions. If you can't, you have to draw lines in the sand, but you should still be trailing stops because you can get these kind of major reversal moves. And if you don't want to put them in the market, don't put them in the market. At least set an alert on your trading platform, which will, like I have alerts that pop up on my phones all the time. And so if I'm not in front of my computer at that very moment, I can either pull it up on my phone, I can execute trades from my phone, I can run back to my computer, I can do stuff, I can put stuff in the market, I can get out, or I can use it for entries. But very nimble overall at this point in the market. Back that head and shoulders. You break the neckline. Look, it's sloping away from you. So every day it gets further and further and harder to break. So let's say you don't break it tomorrow, but let's say you break it next week. Well, it could be broken already when you're all the way down here at your prior lows from reversing the move. It's useless. You have no targets with this. That's why we don't trade descending, declining necklines, because the target's moving away from, or the trigger is moving away from you. And it's actually not reversing enough moves, so it's not a head and shoulders top that we'd be doing. And if somebody says with a declining neckline that they can trade that properly, then they're not trading a head and shoulders top. They're just not, because you have to wait for a break of the neckline. Even if you're not waiting for a close, you're waiting for a break of a neckline, and there's no way to have an upward sloping or even flat neckline with this kind of move. So that's my little rant on head and shoulders. Let's see. Straight to the point, no need to speculate. Let's see. Lots of permanent bulls getting wrecked this year, but they don't seem to give up. This is where it's going to be similar to especially not really the 2008 big pullback, but this is going to be very similar. And we talked about this sort of in market overview to me with the 2000 ends of the .com, where I was with a lot of people who just were making gobs of money in. I've talked about Red Hat. I had a guy making a ton of money in Red Hat, and he gave it all back and more. Oh, buying every dip all the way down. It's going to go back. It's going to go back. It's going to go back. And lots of these. Then people turned it into a train wreck because they were just like, all right, this is. Look, I've seen people say as long as Tesla, just keep buying it all the way down to 600 because it will bounce. Well, and do I know if it's going to 600? No, I don't know if it's going to 600. But if you could buy it all the way down to 600 and you're leveraging going all the way down to 600, let's say it only bounces and your average cost is like 900 or something, and it only bounces then to 700 or 800 and then rolls over again, you're in deep doo-doo. It's where, learn where your stops are and don't cannonball moves. We've talked about cannonballing. Don't add for losers. Why I hate dollar cost averaging works in bull markets. Okay. When things turn to bear markets is where people get crushed. And I see so many YouTube channels out there talking about dollar cost averaging. And if it drops, just get in, buy more. If it drops, just get in, buy more. Even people saying that with ARK, just buy more, just buy more, just buy more. And when do you stop buying more? And what happens if it doesn't come back? I saw that same thing with Enron too, and WorldCom. They're not going to zero, just buy more. They're not going to zero, just buy more. Then kaboom. And I'm not saying ARK might go to zero actually, but I'm not making any inference. So don't say I'm saying Tesla's going to zero or anything else. But I'm saying you can get stuck in a very big underwater position by not knowing where stops are. Okay, that's just a mini rant with the overall broad market, because the overall broad market is not very strong. Tesla back to the 50-day exponential moving average. As I said, we couldn't even get above on a closing basis. Remember, if you take away one thing, always plot your 50 to 62.5% running up there and rolling over. All right, that's where the key rollover areas. That's why I always watch for that close above the 62.5%. That tested out so well. That's why we use it on gaps. It's why we use it on moves. And it just so happened that that wasn't the reason I said raise stops on the daily yesterday. It just so happened we had a signal to raise stops also. Was I prepared? Was I expecting this? No, but once the NASDAQ Again, always watch the NASDAQ. Once the NASDAQ started this, I think I put in Discord, don't stand in front of this. Don't try to call a bottom. I put in the mini double top, and then I'm like, don't call it. This is your momentum bars. Momentum bars down. Little bounce. Momentum bars down. Little bounce. Momentum bars all afternoon. That is what you don't want to stand in front of unless you have a very strong reversal pattern, and there were no very strong reversal patterns from my book today. So since you have Tesla trading so much like the Nasdaq, you got to respect that. So here's was this. We had still had this 1111 area that we're still watching above here. Got up to 1114 twice. Double top pattern. 1082. I posted this on the 15-minute. Why did I post it in the 15-minute? Because look at the 15-minute rotation zone. I was watching on a 15-minute basis. There's your 15-minute close below. First, second, third targets hit very quickly. Then I know I got the question once we got below, for the gap fill. And remember, if you're still watching the gap fill, this still works, by the way, even if it's not the same day. Close below 62.5. Right now, you start targeting the gap fill. Challenge with this gap fill with these momentum bars is there wasn't a lot. I mean, you had to go to a 5-minute, and I was asked in Discord. I said the only thing you can do then is to sell a bounce, but there wasn't much of a bounce, and risk reward was really tough to get your proper reward to risk. Then you see another filled the gap right pretty close right here. But if you're in a couple cents and then you get a bounce right back to the 5-minute rotation zone, rotation down. Here was during lunch. I think I posted this after lunch. I was doing some stuff, but we had a really nice bear flag during lunch. I love the flag patterns during lunch. Could not get above the 50 on the 5-minute. And you see back to the near the top of the rotation zone, could not get a close above this prior support becoming resistance and then just rolling over. The last levels I posted were down to 1035, which we finally broke at the very end of the day. So that's a pretty solid recap. What are we watching for tomorrow? Let me see the new levels. Now, all this is going to be, this is where I'm so glad so many people are already watching the broad markets already, because that's what's going to be key to any of this. We have, and I'm doing a little overlap with market overview, but we have, where is it? There it is. We have retail sales coming out tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, which will be a driver. And we have bank earnings tomorrow. Citibank, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. So between retail sales and the bank earnings, it's going to sort of set the tone of how it's going to be trading. Now, bank earnings are before the open, but whether they pop pre-market or whatever, the bank should report strong earnings. However, watch what happens on the open. If the banks start getting sold and the NASDAQ starts getting sold, and we talked about this in market overview too, I'm just going to touch on it real briefly. Watch the VIX. The VIX did not, yeah, you had a pop today, but not the critical level. So there was no panic yet. If you start getting major move up in the VIX and we start getting some panic, that's where I'll really be paying attention, especially at the end of the day, to where the VIX is. But if we start getting selling in the NASDAQ and in the broad market again, we could have another down pressure day easily on Tesla. So this is where you have to be very nimble. Now, I'm still going to be favoring, unless we get blow out of the water retail sales tomorrow and banks get really strong and we just run off the open, I will be watching for a continued down move in Tesla. And minor is this 1,000, but major, then I'll be watching if we have a strong selling day, the lows from Monday. And then everything's based off where we close. If we close below those lows, Then next week I'll start watching for the gap fill. If we bounce above it and close back above 1,000, I will watch for a short-term bottom. By the way, even if we do that, this won't be a potential double bottom because it's not reversing big enough of a move. It'll still mean that we're holding the 1,000 mark on a closing basis, besides it's a little bit below, but we're still in a major consolidation pattern. So the levels for tomorrow, by the way, you want any upside things that start off, you can really watch the 5 minute, but that's just at this prior 25% harmonic, about 1037. You get above there, your next target is about 1045, right around 1045 to 1046. Now those will come down a bit, but that's where I'd watch the top of the 5 minute and the 15 minute. You get above there, especially if we get some momentum bars, I could easily see a return to about 1056. About 1056. I can't get into super bullish mode unless we got about above 1066, 1067 area. Above there, but that doesn't mean if the broad market starts rallying and we get some momentum bars to the upside, I could easily see a return to 1056 pretty quickly. Now we roll over tomorrow. Here's your major targets. It's about 1015, then 1004 to 1000. That's going to be really key. And don't just be, if we do go down there and don't we just get down there, don't just try to grab a falling knife if there's broad market selling. Unless you have a very strong pattern, don't just, oh, it's hit 1,000, 1,000 might become support, I'm just going to buy. That's not a trading strategy. Look for some kind of, whatever your entry signals are, whatever your patterns are, at least have a pattern with a tight stop, especially if there's selling pressure in the markets. But this is where we're going to have to keep keying everything off of pretty much how the markets are going in the morning between earnings and the retail sales numbers, because the macro is driving the micro right now. And you know, you can say, well, Tesla's earnings now, it's officially the 26th, by the way. We've been talking back and forth with that. It's officially the 26th. That's written in stone after the close on the 26th. And you can say, well, Tesla normally rallies into earnings, and it does normally rally into earnings. However, if you have massive selling pressure in the broad markets, you have Tesla swimming upstream. And you also still have, of course, ARK, which is still a major holder of Tesla, and that's just rolled over again after getting into a daily rotation zone. And if this keeps going down, you know, they have to make position adjustments and everything else, and that can lead to even more selling pressure. So you can get some cascading selling pressure in Tesla. So if you had to ask me, I think we could get some more. I'm being very cautious to the downside tomorrow. I think we could get more selling pressure. And again, I have to judge it off how we open and if we start getting upside momentum in the NASDAQ at all. If we get selling pressure in the NASDAQ, then I'm going to be very hesitant on trading anything from the bullish side without a very strong pattern and at least some key support in the NASDAQ. Let's see what we have here in comments. Great trading day today. Well, glad you had a great day, Jake. Let's see. Yeah, there was great trading to the downside between that double top. And this is where also something like this, if you are able to watch something like this and you did not take profits on the up move because we had buy signals, this is a great way to at least take off a partial position. If you did not lock anything up into strength, and we made a higher high today, and we had a divergence. I posted that we had a divergence up there also. So you had a double top and a divergence, and the NASDAQ was rolling over. That's a great area to lock in something and then put another stop below. I mean, even if you put a stop on the second half below this 1056 level, fine, you get stopped out, but you took some off up here, and then you took some off here. It wasn't, you know, you're not trying, but if it didn't continue selling all day and we got the bounce, then you'd be fine either way. But either way, you locked in profits and you gave it a chance to run. But now again, you have people who didn't lock in anything. If they got in anywhere since really the afternoon on Monday, they're all underwater. They never locked in anything and they never trailed a stop. So now they have to hope it bounces tomorrow. And hope is not a great trading strategy. Hey, Motor Trade, welcome back. The way the stock's been behaving, we're going to need a bigger boat. Hey, Motor Trade, your comment, I think it was from last Friday or Thursday. It's right. It popped up right when I was ending the live stream. I said goodbye, and then your comment popped up. I was not ignoring it. I used to have a Series 3 and Series 7, and I've let them both expire years ago because I did not want to be in professional status anymore. Because you have to pay a lot more fees, and I don't need to be a professional status anymore. But when I was between being on the floor doing a commodity fund then doing some prop firm pair trading, I had a Series 3 and Series 7. That's the answer to your question from last week. I was waiting until you pop back on here to answer it. Look at that. It returned the weekly rotation zone. Earnings 126 has been volatile since the last earnings compared to price action of the previous quarter. And I think we're going to see increased volatility just because of the overall market. You have increased volatility with Tesla, and you have just the market's going to be very volatile right now. It's in a huge distribution area and topping pattern. By the way, weekly rotation zone, which we'll be watching tomorrow, is 951.50. Close below there would put it into neutral mode on the weekly. First time it would be in neutral mode on the weekly since back in July, before the big run up. When I first started to trade, I would always be eager to be in a trade. Now I let the price come to me, which is very good. You don't. No trade is a trade. Waiting for the price and sitting on your hands is a trade. You know, if we go below 1040, first target for you is 920. Okay, there we go. You have Coco's first target is, well, we're below 1040 now, so I assume your target now is 920. Let's see. Dips are harder and harder to buy, and that's generally what happens. But you'll still have the die-hard dip buyers, and you still have the Tesla stock pumpers every day out there. Every turn is they're shocked. If Tesla does warn it should be trading 1400 or whatever, it's 1500, and it's just another buy. And I'm not saying it can't go up. I'm just saying you got to be careful with having a mindset where you're only seeing one thing. Okay, there's a time to buy and there's a time to sell, and now is a time to be cautious. We had our little buy, it ran up, now it's rolled over again. It's really got some work to do to get back to some price stability in order to run up until earnings. So, and there'll be other opportunities to buy. Let's see, we're on a daily. We have there's no buy signal for tomorrow, at least on the daily. On the 4 hour, a super aggressive buy would be on a close in the morning above 1072.03. You'd get a super aggressive buy signal. I'd just wait. If that did trigger, I'd just wait until Monday anyways and then try to jump on it if it was going to continue higher. Coco says you can see their support at 1040. Let me mark that out. 1040 right here. Their support at 1040 has been pierced twice. First time was a quick rebound, 7 has dipped below before coming back up and forming a very odd shoulder. I don't even have a significant level, but at that area. But this is what's good. Coco is doing he has his own opinion. He has his own way he's analyzing the market, and he's putting it out there, which I very much respect. And he's got his price target too. They tell you to buy the dip, but they don't realize it's no dip, it's a dump. Heavy option puts on QQQ. I would like to see some more. That's where I keep an eye. I don't talk about the VIX all the time, but this is an area where I will keep an eye on it, especially to get selling pressure tomorrow. Fun catching momentum is bounces, not always successful in calling them. Again, this is where I have to make decisions. I'd love to be able to give you the macro pattern. Uh, Still, it's because we're in this whipsaw market, which everything's done with the macro, and we still have moving numbers out tomorrow, and we're in earnings season. It's going to have to be more on a case by case morning basis until we get a major pattern trigger. And we don't have a major pattern trigger. I'll give buys and sell daily patterns out there, or even that 4 hour one. But other than that, everything else for me has to be based on the short term. Tesla NASDAQ short camp here. Good luck. Okay, Bob's in the Tesla NASDAQ short camp. Thank you, Bob, for being here. If this stock reverses, would you be looking for a buy signal on the 1 hour, 4 hour? There's a 4 hour aggressive buy. I would be waiting, though, if that did trigger for an entry, a pullback entry on Monday. I'm not holding stuff like this over the weekend right now. There's too much weirdness that can happen. I'd rather, even if I got a gap up, watch for a gap retrace or a partial gap retrace, and then jump on the trend if I miss a buy signal. I'm playing it in caution mode right now, especially since I could not get above the 62.5. And I don't, with this, it's not worth carrying. Especially, I would not carry a large position over the weekend right now. Net 1,000 has failed multiple times the last few days, but quick recovery back over, and we'll see. I mean, you can still see the line of sand, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. We only dipped below it once, and then we got back above it, held there. So yeah, 1,000 is going to be key to watch where it closes tomorrow. I completely agree. And then the next key is this Monday's low. So if we're going to close below 1,000, my next major area is to watch if we close below Monday's low, because if we close below there, I'm targeting the gap fill. And then on weakness next week, I'd be targeting the most recent lows. Well, again, I'm so glad I got stopped out. My mom was playing for hope for a run, but never saw any follow through today. Dodged the bullet. This is why you trade with stops. Please learn to trade with stops and take partial profits and learn to trade with stops. If you take one thing from this channel and then unsubscribe and go away, just learn those two things. You don't have to do all on and all off and trade with stops. You don't want to be caught in bad positions. The daily is barely neutral at present. The daily is neutral. It's barely, yeah, because it's. I wish I could. I have these tucked in behind. Let's see. I'll note if it's going to shift to bearish. Let's just see real quick. Bring the front. See, there's where that one is. Bring the front. You can see them right here. It's barely holding on to neutral. The real key is, though, if weekly goes to neutral and daily goes to bearish, then it's starting, and we're down here, then it's starting to watch for much bigger potential sell-off. The plan can change depending on price action and signals, and right now the plan can change pretty quickly based off overall market conditions. Yeah, and that's why I can't sit and post constantly in Discord, because I will be managing and dealing with stuff too. The jaws are closing. Let's see. There'll be great signals again. And just this is where don't develop a scotoma. Don't get blind. I like that there are people who are willing to say, okay, this is not just a bullish or bearish Tesla channel. This is a price action Tesla channel. And we're going to trade the price action, and we're going to watch for it both ways. We're not going to drink any Kool-Aid either way. Definitely no weekend holds at present. Very tough. Best of luck, everyone. I'm very busy around this time of year. Usually my best few months we get bearish. Well, you make the time, and if don't jeopardize your trading with your day job, though. Make sure, because it's hard to split focus sometimes. So if you're trying to split focus, just don't get in a bad position. Pan W. You say Pan W. At least it's a neutral neckline. I'll give you that. Palo Alto Networks. Why I'm looking at this, as we discussed, normally it's roughly a you got shoulder, head, shoulder. At least it's a reversal pattern here. You have roughly a flat neckline, so yeah, this could be a short on a breakdown. That's a brutal bar today. Wow. That is a brutal bar on Palo Alto. Just let's do the targets real quick. It's always good to learn. Always good. Normally we do this in market overview, but since we talked about head and shoulders before, now it broke here, but it did not close below. But the targets are from where it broke, and this is a sloppy double shoulder, and it's going to be roughly the same. You still need to close below that, but your targets are roughly about 460. And then I would not ignore this 441 target with the rising 200. So that's going to be key. But you get below there. And then look at this last target. Nearly right at this low before this breakaway gap. So there you go. Those are the targets for Palo Alto. And that might take a while to unfold. But let's take a look at this. Look at this too. You have the weekly rotation zone. So especially tomorrow, if it closes below this weekly rotation zone, the weekly rotation zone's out of the way. And the second target, besides that 200 on the daily, coming in with the 50 on there. So that could be an interesting trade to the short side. Normally I wouldn't do this during the Tesla, but this is more indicative of shoulder, head, shoulder. It's a bit sloppy, but it's definitely tradable. There you go. There you go, Coco. We just took a look at it. Glad you enjoyed the film reference. You guys, I don't catch every comment. Bullish on Tesla since 2013, but short is the play now. Yep. So great. That's it, guys. We'll do, remember, 3:30 tomorrow on Friday, since there's no market overview. Market overview is at Sunday at 3 p.m. if you want to join me. So Tesla is an hour earlier tomorrow. And I'd love to have you there for just a weekly wrap up so we can get Tesla out of the way and then relax and then focus on the markets again on Sunday. See, Wavy, I'm starting to leave notes on my monitor. Post-it notes on the trading monitor is a wonderful thing. Thank you, everyone. Fantastic evening. Rest well. Good day trading tomorrow, and I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.